The real estate industry just went through the biggest week of consolidation it has seen in a very long time, and I think every agent watching this needs to understand exactly what happened, what it means, and what questions you should be asking right now. Here's the short version. One deal was $880 million. Another was $1.6 billion. Together, they affect more than 500,000 agents across North America. And if you are at any of the brokerages involved, or if you have ever even thought about whether your brokerage is built to last, this video is directly relevant to you. Quick context before we dive in. I'm Meg Estes. I'm a real estate agent based in Tucson, Arizona. And today I'm talking about what's happening in business and in the industry as I'm building it. I'm not a coach, I'm not a trainer. I'm an agent who pays close attention to how the industry is shifting because it directly affects the decisions I make for my own business. I've been watching this consolidation cycle unfold for a little bit now, and this week it accelerated significantly. So I want to walk you through what happened, why it's happening, and what history actually tells us about what's to come next, and the 4 questions I think every agent should start asking now. Let's start with the news itself because the scale of it does matter. Deal number 1, a cloud-based brokerage acquired REMAX for $880 million. That's a combined network of approximately 180,000 agents globally. The acquisition was funded primarily through debt, which we'll come back to because that detail does matter more than most coverage has acknowledged. And deal number 2 is that Compass acquired Anywhere for $1.6 billion. Anywhere is the parent company of Coldwell Banker, Century 21, Sotheby's, Better Homes and Gardens, all different kinds of brokerages. Combine that approximately with 340,000 agents under one roof. And those aren't the only moves. Rocket acquired Redfin, Keller Williams took 2 private equity investments for a major capital group, and the industry is consolidating really fast, and all of it is happening at the same time. So if you step back and look at this from altitude, what you're watching in the real estate industry compressing toward a smaller number of dominant players, which is exactly what happened in telecom in the 1990s and the banking in the early 2000s. Those industries went from dozens of competing players down to a handful, and the agents who understood the pattern early were the ones who positioned themselves on the right side of it. The consolidation isn't random. It's a direct response to structural pressure that has been building in the industry for a few years now. Brokerage margins are near their lowest points in a decade, operating around 10%, and transaction volumes last year hit the lowest level since 1995. Most traditional brokerages with 100 or more agents were operating net negative after their expenses. And that's not a rumor. That's the financial reality most large brokerages are living in. Layer that on top of the NAR settlement, the buyer side commission changes forced operational recruiting that brokerages were not prepared for. And then add the technology race. Every major brokerage is spending heavily to build or acquire technology infrastructure and AI integration because they know that's what the industry is going towards and they can't afford to be left behind. But the math on staying independent stopped working for a lot of these companies. Merging gives them scale, shared cost structures, and capital to compete for technology. That's the logic driving every single one of these deals. What it also does is creates significant uncertainty for the agent inside those brokerages, because when deals this size close, especially when they are funded through debt, something has to give somewhere. And historically, what gives first is the agent's experience day to day. So here's what I want you to pay attention to, because this is where the pattern gets really clear. When a brokerage takes on a significant debt to grow, whether through acquisition or private equity, the pressure to service that debt doesn't disappear. It lands somewhere else. And in this industry, it almost always lands on the agents in the form of a tighter split or higher fees, reduced support, or changes to what was originally promised when you signed. The $880 million REMAX acquisition was funded primarily through debt. The $1.6 billion Compass deal carries its own debt burden. Compass, within weeks of announcing that acquisition, filed workforce reduction notices and raised their internal cost-cutting target from $150 million to $250 million. And that's not speculation, that's a public filing. Now, I'm not saying any of this to alarm anyone. I'm telling you this because I think agents deserve a clear-eyed look at what these deals actually mean. Not just the press release version, but the downstream reality. When companies are under debt pressure and cutting costs simultaneously, the agents inside those companies are the ones who feel it most. The brokerages that tend to weather these cycles are the ones with no acquisition debt, clean balance sheets, and business models that don't require constant external capital to function. That's worth noting regardless of where you are currently hanging your license. Now, I want to leave you with 4 questions, and I genuinely mean this as a framework for thinking about your own situation, wherever you are right now in your business. Question 1, if your brokerage got acquired tomorrow, who would actually benefit? Would it be you? Or would your income increase? Your support improve? Would your equity grow? Or would the benefit flow primarily to someone else? Investors, shareholders, corporate leadership? The answer to that question tells you a lot about the structure you're actually inside. Question 2, is your brokerage's technology actually competitive, or was it built years ago and dressed to look current? AI integration, digital infrastructure, cloud operations, these aren't nice to have anymore. Consumer behavior is shifting faster than most brokerages can keep up with. The gap between technology leaders and technology followers in this industry is widening every single quarter. And question 3, are you building real equity, or are you just earning a commission? Commission is income, equity is ownership. Residual income is a retirement plan. Most traditional brokerages structures give you one of the 3. The agents who come out of the cycles like this one in the strongest position are the ones who are building all 3 simultaneously. And question 4, this is the one I'd like you to sit with the longest. If you had to start over today knowing everything you know now, where would you sign up? Not where would you have signed up 3 years ago based on what made sense then, but where would you sign up today in this market, in this industry landscape in front of you? I'm not asking you to act on the question in the video. I'm asking you to actually answer it honestly, because I think a lot of agents are operating on autopilot inside structures that made sense in a different version of this industry. Now, I will be straightforward with you about where I landed personally, because I think you deserve the honest version. I am at eXp Realty. I chose it because when I ran those 4 questions myself, the answers pointed me clearly in one direction. No acquisition debt, cloud-based infrastructure built from the ground up, not bolted onto a legacy system. Revenue share that creates residual income from day one, stock equity as an agent, and a leadership structure where agents are shareholders, not passengers. I'm not going to tell you eXp is perfect. I'm still building my own business here, and I document that process publicly, including the parts that are slow and the parts that are still being figured out. But when I look at this week's news and I run those 4 questions, I feel very clear about where I am. If you're at REMAX or Coldwell Banker, Century 21, or any of the brokerages that just became a part of something much larger and much more debt loaded, I think it's worth having a real conversation about what you're going to do for the next 5 years and what that actually looks like. Not a sales conversation, but a real chat. If this video raised questions and you want to think that through out loud, I'm happy to have that conversation. So text me directly at 520-980-9880 or grab some time on my calendar, the link in the description. And if you're an agent who's genuinely evaluating your options and want a real honest perspective from someone who's been through that process, then please reach out, because that's what I'm here for. And if this was useful, share with an agent who you might know needs to hear it. I'll keep covering this story as the acquisitions move toward closing, so subscribe if you want those updates as well. And I will see you in the next one.